Hello friends, my name is Ramasu. Today we shall discuss about topic the Burndown Chart. Friend, today's topic is very interesting, especially if you have interest in project management, Scrum framework and software development. So let's start, friend. Friend, Burndown Chart is basically a graph or visual representation which we used in Scrum framework that track the progress of a team towards completing the work in a given sprint. Now, first of all, we have to understand that Scrum is basically a agile based methodology in which we divide the work into multiple chunks, that is called a sprint. A sprint is a 3 to 4 weeks time period in which we plan, develop, test and deploy the things, and with each sprint we deliver the work to the customer, and at the end of each sprint we got the product increment. Now we have to understand that whenever a team is working, especially Scrum development team is working on the tasks which are required for a product, it is very important that they should have a clarity that how much work is remaining, so that they know that how much time is remaining and how much work is remaining to be completed. So it provides a clear and transparent view of how much work remains to be done over time, helping the team and the stakeholders understand if they are on track to meet their sprint goal as well. Also, the burndown chart is basically a visual representation which tells you that whether you are going as per the required speed or not. If you are not going, so obviously you have to take the corrective action. If you are going as per the required speed, so it's okay, it's good. So first of all, we have to understand the components of a burndown chart. First one is the time axis. Time axis is basically, as it's a graphical representation, or you can say a chart, simply a chart. So on the horizontal axis, okay, horizontal axis which represents the time, actually usually measured in days or iteration. So it is divided into sprint days or time interval. Okay, so simply time axis or horizontal axis is the representation of time, either in sprint days or either in time interval. Then work axis. Work axis is the vertical axis, or you can say generally a y axis as well, which represents the amount of work remaining. So the unit of measurement is typically the amount of work estimated, such as story points or task hour. Here remember, the story points is the points of a story. What was the story was the feature required in a product. For example, user story example is that customer can do the payment through credit card, debit card, customer can sign up into the e-commerce solution. So this is an example of user story. Now story points is basically the estimated effort in terms of points or relative measurement, to complete a work. Okay, story point is a different concept as compared to the man days effort. Man days effort tells you that how much effort required for one man to complete a work. This is a man days effort. Now the story point is basically the approach of effort estimation, but in terms of relativity. Relativity means that we compare one story to the other story, and with the level of complexity we assign these story points to the user story. For example, if one story is more complex than the other story, so the less complex story will have less point and the more complex story will have more points, simply. So friend, on the work axis, or means the vertical axis, we have the story points, that means the efforts which is remaining to be completed. Then ideal burndown line. Ideal burndown line means this is a diagonal line on the chart that represents the ideal progress of the team. So it is the, you can say, the perfect line or the ideal line. It connects the total amount of work at the beginning of the sprint to zero work at the end of the sprint. It assumes a constant linear rate of work completion throughout the sprint. So that means if everything goes well, everything goes wrong, right, so this is the ideal line. Then another is the actual burndown line. That means this line depicts the actual progress of the team. It shows how much work the team has completed each day or iteration. Okay, so that means simply, see, we have knowledge, we have visibility that what is the actual work is completing as compared to the ideal work. Ideal work means that if everything goes well, everything goes right, so this is the speed, this is the time required to complete. And actual burn line tells you that actually what's going on, how much work is in actual is completing. Then usage and interpretation means first one is the sprint planning. Friend, we know that whenever a sprint begins, the Scrum development team, product owner, Scrum master, they basically sit together, they do the sprint planning meeting and estimates the amount of work to be done and plots the starting point on the chart. Okay, so this is called as the concept of a sprint planning. Here remember that the burndown chart is also very important in the sprint planning meeting as well, so that team estimates the amount of work to be done and start planning accordingly as well. Then daily stand up. In the daily stand up meeting, the Scrum development team, especially, they basically update the chart. They discuss the burndown chart, that how much work is remaining. Also, the use the burndown chart to discuss any impediments, showstopper, bottlenecks, problems, issues, so that everyone knows that to in order to complete the work, what are the issues are there, what are the problem. And simply the most important thing is that there is a transparency, there is a clarity of the work, about the work which needs to be completed. Then course correction means the chart helps the team identify if they are falling behind or ahead of schedule. Okay, if the actual burn-down line deviates significantly from the ideal line, the team can take corrective actions accordingly as well. Transparency means provide transparency to stakeholder, allowing them to see the progress and make informed decisions accordingly as well. Burn down chart patterns. First one is the ideal scenario. Ideal scenario means the actual burndown line closely follows the ideal line, means that everything is goes well and actually the work which you have planned, actually we are working accordingly as well, and that means the all things are okay and going as per the plan. Then negative deviation means the actual burndown line is below the ideal line, suggesting the team is completing work faster than anticipated. Okay, then positive deviation means the actual burndown line is above the ideal line, indicating that the team is lagging behind in completing the work. So that means they need to take the corrective action in that case, and there is some correction required. Flat line means the burndown line remains flat, indicating no progress. This might be a sign of impediments or a lack of progress in that case. So burndown charts are valuable tools for Scrum teams to track their progress, manage expectations, and make data-driven decisions throughout a sprint.